Senior Compliance Officer with the Equal Opportunities Commission. And my role as in the planning and budgeting, I'm a compliance officer. And the role of the compliance and enforcement officer is to ensure that provisions for gender equity as provided for by the Public Financial Management Act are included in the budget of this country. And in that provision, which you have called the Public Financial Management Act, there is a section that tells government, the entire government, to ensure that within the budget are gender equity responsive. And it clearly stipulates that Equal Opportunities Commission will screen all those budget framework papers to look for variables that are gender and equity, so that the people benefit from government intervention. Why do we do gender equity planning and budgeting here? Why my department is to ensure that we have a pro-people budget. Initially, before the giving out the certificates, we will find that money on operations was much, like money for travel abroad, fuel, procurement of vehicles, you get it, eh? But money that catches the issues of people, that we don't have a road. You know, a road would be in a budget for 5 years and no one is not following up. You do hear people want medicine, but the money is not allocated for medicine. But the budget is there, but there's no money for medicine. Pregnant mothers would die in the labor wards, but there was no medicine. So we go ahead to screen and check if the concerns of people are placed in budget. So that one becomes gender equity responsive budget. Every ministry should have a gender equity responsive budget, and it's provided for by law, and the law is called the Public Financial Management Act 2015. So that is where the mandate comes from. Even before the budget is passed by Parliament in June, we give them a certificate, a report, it's called an advisory note. For us to prepare and give to Ministry of Finance. When they are giving the budget, even that certificate is there to show that this budget includes the issue of the marginalized and the poor people. What we do is, immediately the budget has been passed, we pick all the items. We see those entities that didn't perform. We start by training, bringing them on board, because some people don't know what is gender, others don't know what is equity, others don't know what is being vulnerable, others don't know what we talk about discrimination, what does it mean? We talk about marginalization, what does it mean? When you're giving people food, you don't know that someone doesn't, when you're cooking, now as mothers, when you're cooking, the reason you cook different types of food is, there's someone who doesn't eat meat, someone doesn't eat fish, this one doesn't eat this, but at the end of the day, it is one meal that I'll have to prepare for the entire family. So that uniqueness makes us to know that yes, these people, they have a lot of money, but they're not taking care of people with disability, taking care of the children, but we remind them that, if the child at home is not happy, even the parent, when she comes to work, she will also not be happy. Therefore, we need to have a good ECD centers where the mother can take the child to school, then she comes and work. If we don't have a hospital closer, the father has to ride a bicycle to first go and take a child to the hospital before they come back. So all those ones, these are at the end of the day that affect the performance of the organizations. So the first phase is training. We build the capacity, because you can't go to enforce something people are not aware of. So we train, we create awareness, and we show them that this is what we're supposed to do. For example, look at Uganda blood transfusion. If you screen in their budget and you don't see the amount of blood and the amount of money they are going to help in procuring the blood, you get worried, because that's the reason they exist. And you see people crying, we don't have blood, they're selling blood, If it's about Ministry of Gender is our mother, but we remind them that street children still exist. Children are still having child labor has never stopped. So where is that budget for the children? So when we are doing our assessment, we look at the six major variables. The one for youth, youth,
Yes.
and you know the youth, there are very many. Okay. Most of them are hawkers. They are, they are not employed. They are boda riders. You see now the category. So when you're planning for their interventions, they're a bit unique. They're not agriculture. But when we go to another, for example, Ministry of Agriculture, we look at who are the youth in what? Ministry of Agriculture. Most of them are farmers. And doing what? They're either fishermen, others are the different products they are, and they're mainly engaged, the youth in agriculture, especially the men, they're engaged in agriculture that brings quick money. Tomatoes, they are not going to go for coffee. Coffee takes long. They're not going to go for bananas. Bananas don't take long. But you find for them they can only buy, but they don't want to plant. So when you're supporting the youth, we see where that money is going. Because we already know at the background who these youth are in this particular sector. If you go in mining, you've had mining gold, the youth are mining what? They are the youth who are mining. So we tell them that, you know what, in the mining sector, help us and look for what they call the occupational health, the gears. They don't want money, but they want you to support them in the laws, people who are cheating them, after digging your gold, and then someone gives you little money, and then you cannot, even that gold can, it can even collapse on you. So the risk is so high. So our work is just to remind them and say plan for those people. You use the same amount of money, and then you plan for them. So when you're telling them, do this, I'm just telling you, still doing training. We also emphasize that there's no unique money for planning and budgeting, for gender. All the money in this country is money for gender and equity. The other variables. So the other variables we have the children. The children, you also know they have so many different categories. We have person with disability. Also, they are in different categories. For example, if it is under mineral development, our issue in mineral development is to reduce child labor in the mineral. So what are you going to do? So we also could give scores. Public service, we also look for children, and they say, but why for us we're not Ministry of Gender. We tell them that, man, you have breastfeeding mothers who come and work in public service. How do you organize for them? You should be having a place where, yes, and you've seen it has worked in Parliament. But Parliament is not a Ministry of Gender affair, because everywhere the children are there. But they're indirectly, and there's a way they're affecting performance of the staff. We have location. Location, there are also many, because you see in location, we look at war-torn areas, climate prone, where we have landslides, we have floods. For us, we're already there, the risk is so high. Then, those drought places. Then also look at the places that were marked marginalized. For example, if you go to Western Uganda, there are some places where you find the Batwa, for example, people who are marginalized. There are certain areas they say, we cannot even go there. Yes, and then also in Karamoja, there are some areas they would say, in Karamoja, I can't go there. So all those ones, already you see there's marginalization in the mindset of people. So when they are planning, there are high chances are that they will not be included in the national budget. So you remind them that even those are human beings who stay in Uganda. So plan for them. Then also in rural areas, there are some, for example, if you go in a district, there are some parishes, people will never go there. Say, to access that place, it is very far. So we look for them. We have the map, we look for them and say, we look in the budget and say, but this place has never been catered for. So we remind them that, when you're planning as a district, they also need water, they need the health facility, they need the school, they need the road. So that here in Kampala, we look at places like Katanga. Kampala is a city, but there are those, slums, they're in their need. So we ask, you've planned for here, where is Chisenyi? Where is Katanga? Where is this? Where is Namu? You keep reminding them. Though they are just next to them, but they may not see that they also need to be developed. And you've seen national water has done, the what they call pro-poor water. Water where they reduce the price for the poor to access clean water. Because if they don't access clean water, they're not going to flood in the health facility. Then we have older persons. Older persons, you find that there are so many older persons. who are not taken care of. And people here in Uganda, people fear now growing old, because once you grow old, you're abandoned. So who cares? Who plans for you? There's a paper of recent where public servants were flooding Ministry of Public Service to increase their ages. So people don't want to grow old. They want to remain in the system. Why? So now those who are doing public service, they want to, instead of going to 60, they want to go at 70. So they want people to change their birth dates so that they have more years in the system. And the root cause is because they're not putting the what? So that's another constituency we look at. The women are just another constituency. So in the women, they're also different. They have different challenges. There are those ones with women with disability, women in agriculture. We have women, young mothers. You know, we have different types of women who are now. We have single mothers. We have the older mothers who are looking after children of the. You know, yes, for them their work like from. Just imagine they got married at 16 years. They have children. Then they have great-grandchildren. For the entire life they are serving. You get it? So women is also another constituency which is very, very critical for us. Now of recent, because we don't have enough money, because they are now aware, they now call on us. You opportunities, come and support us. You first check on our work before we submit. Come and check on my work. Have I done my work properly? Then after that, by constitution, by that law, we're supposed to be submitting between 15th and 27th December our report. Yes, or now the budget before the parliament starts discussing it. We have a team. We have an online system. People, you work from wherever you are. People are working from wherever they are. You don't need to come here to see these people working. So we made it virtual. People are working online, and the same results. Like even if you share them with another person, you get the same. So the tools are now virtual. Even when you're in Mali, when you access our system, we give you will always access from there. Initially, now we started from national, but when people keep appreciating, you can also get international people, and you say now let's do this and give a score. The Equal Opportunities Commission is a constitutional body. It is there by constitution. So if you want to remove it, you have to go through the constitution and you ask people, should we remove the Equal Opportunities? So it is established under the Equal Opportunities Act of 2007 in accordance with Article 32 of the 1995 Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. And the Commission is mandated to eliminate discrimination and inequalities against any individual or group of persons and take affirmative action in favor of the marginalized groups for the purpose of readdressing imbalances which exist against them. The Commission therefore strives to realize a just and fair society and country where all Ugandans have equal opportunity to participate in, contribute and benefit from the national development. So that is our main mandate. And now here, how we do it, we have 4 main departments that support this process. And how do we start? We start by creating awareness. So we have an education department that is there to help people understand government programs, make them accept and also participate. Our commission here is to help people to appreciate government work, to make them understand and accept. You know, that's a very big role. Because government comes up and says, we want you to try food program. It is us to understand it first. We need to understand it so that we will be able to educate people to participate in that government program. To understand and participate. That is one of it. So we have education. And that's what it does every day. Then after that we have the legal, because you see now when you create awareness, people start demanding for service. And also now knowing that we can also report somewhere. So if you don't only educate, you educate for them to be aware, and also when they're discriminated, where do they do? They come here. So we have a legal department that if you feel when government is offering service, you're discriminated because of race, because of your tribe, because of your sex, because of your religion, because of your political affiliation, we have a legal department where people keep calling and have a toll-free line. People keep calling, giving us their complaint. We have to go already to over there to register these complaints about discrimination. It can be like me, I've gotten this job, but because I've been discriminated. So they've taken out. If you have the evidence, we have the legal department here. We have the legal investigation team to address compliance department, which goes ahead after the creating awareness. We got to screen the budgets, look at the budgets. It's a very big task, and we're supposed to screen the budgets even for the religious entities by them. You know, even in religion you find this discrimination. We're even supposed to go and screen for the private sector. You know, the private sector, they have their national umbrella, private sector foundation, where they all come and say, we want to support government in doing this activity. There was an example where one of the a five-star hotel in this country was recruiting managers for hotel managers. Then they said, we want someone from India. So when we were reading papers like this, we said, this is total discrimination. One of the staff, we had to raise it and tell them, no, scrap that advert. That is total discrimination. You mean you want to say that here, now it's only the Indians who can be good managers. So they had to scrap it. So that's when they saw our hand and said, and that's now enforcement. So they say, okay, you mean the people who are seeing us, you know? Because if you accept that, then that means even others are free to. They'll say, but what if those people did? Then others also can. And then because there are some tribes that were never accepted in the country. So they were brought on board. So they were registered. You've heard of the Banyasme, there were some tribes
from Rwanda.
From here. They are now being accepted and are included in the constitution. So, and that's our role. Because remember we talked about there's no discrimination because of your race, because of your tribe, because of being a man or a woman, because of your religion, political affiliation, all that, wherever there's any kind of discrimination, that EOC comes in. Here in government we have a gender and equity certificate, but in the private sector it's called a gender and equity seal. Because we're seeing a challenge of accessibility. If you go to most hotels, people with disability can't access those hotels. And for us that is the beginning of discrimination. That means that if you put a hotel like that, you in your mind you say that people with disability should never come and participate in government work, because most of the government meetings are held in those hotels. So if you have person with disability who can't access that, older people who can't walk on those steps, then you already, that's what the word you call marginalization and discrimination. So then the fourth one, we have the research, planning, monitoring and evaluation. So that's where we are. So when there's so many outcries, we want to know where is it happening from. We do the research, we monitor. We know we have the statistics, we collect our statistics and say now, if you're going to parliament, we say that now the youth are suffering and this is where their problem is and this is the evidence. Persons with disability are doing this. So we have, at the end of that, every year, as the constitution gives us, we're supposed to produce a state of equity, a report, a national report on state of opportunities in the country every year. On the compliance side, every December we're supposed to produce a report between 15th to 27th December. As we go for Christmas, for us we're just working. Then again in March, we're supposed to produce another report on compliance for all the MDAs. It's called ministerial process statements, to check how they perform. Then also before the budget is ready, we're supposed to produce a national report on the gender and equity certificate. It's a certificate, but now we have different, small certificates per entity to show that the national budget is gender and equity compliant. So we work through the entire year. So we have 4 tools. One for the national. The tool, for example, for the national budget, is aligned with the national budget itself.
Okay.
So in the PFM, there is what they call Schedule 2, and it looks at things like this: inflation, interest rate, bank rate.
Those economic indicators.
Those economic indicators. We look at them. We look at the medium-term plan. What is the government planning in the next, in the medium term? What is the government? And then there, for us, we look at how is it related? Is it helping the people? Is it helping us to achieve our the middle income status? First tool. So that one, we picked parameters that can contribute to the well-being of the nation. So we are here like a watchdog, indirectly. We check and say, okay, if you do this well, then we shall. But planning is different from implementation. So, but for us, the law tells us, you check screen for us and tell us if we are gender and equity responsive. So we use Schedule 2 for the national budget. After that, we have what we call the program-based budgets now, which are being in preparation now. So for it, we go ahead, we look at the alignment with the national development plan. If you don't have an umbrella where all of you work, then everyone gets lost. So we want all of us to be working in one umbrella, which is the national development plan. So we also go ahead to assess. So if we see that we give some weight for all the parameters. So the alignment, the national development plan, we look at it. We look at the objective of the national development plan, of the program. How is it gender and equity responsive? Yes, and also we give the weight. We look at the outcome indicator, the outcome statements themselves. If the outcome statement is to reduce hunger, if that is the program on agriculture, agro-industrialization, to reduce hunger, we look for those outcome statements that are gender and equity, and we give them weight. And we say out of the 10 outcome statements, at least we have 5 outcome statements that are gender and equity. So it gives us hope, a ray of hope that, the vulnerable people are going to be supported. Then after that, we also look at the indicators. There are indicators there for each outcome statement. We look at, then we look at the baseline and the target. So for us, when we're doing assessment, next year we shall see how did we perform in terms of this. If it was increasing number, for example, of women to access financial services. So we shall look and say, but how come you guys are on the same figure, you're not shifting? That means the women are not being served. So we do some bit of M&E in that system to check. Then after looking at the outcome indicators, we have what we call the indicators that are slightly below the outcome. They're like easily achievable, that they can be fed in by the different MDAs. We put indicators, but they're not output indicators, where you can easily invest money. So also that one we check and also give weight. Then after having those outcome, the intermediate outcome statements, now we go to the output itself, the intervention. And say you want to invest in let me say, education, early childhood, where, because we know, from our statistics, we know that they are mainly in urban areas. Then we want to know where you're investing the money. And you find that for the few years they've been investing in policy. So you tell them, but you've invested much in policy. We now want to see the intervention. Where is it? If it is housing, for example, sustainable housing and development, there's a program. Then in the interventions that they want to construct houses for slum dwellers, it is very clear the amount of money, you get it. So we capture them and give them weight. So that is at intervention intervention level. Then also there we give, and at that level we break them down. This is the time we break them seriously now at intervention level. We shall break them for the youth, intervention for children, intervention for older persons, interventions for persons with disability, interventions for women. That at intervention level, that's where we break them down. So for every program, for every MBA, we screen them and we then give score. So if we go and look for children, look for the parameters for children, the interventions, if there's nothing, we say this program does not cater for what? For the children, or does not have money for person with disability, and that space will remain empty and will have a 0. The weight, you get it. When they give us a whole list of interventions, we break them from youth, women, older persons, and we score the ones that have money, because if you're planning, you should have money, and that's why it's called a budget. You should cost. So if you put for us and say this is for person with disability and there's no money, we don't even give you any score. In those days, doctor, they used to put them under unfunded priorities.
Yes.
So unfunded priorities. But this budget you're having is for the vulnerable, because in Africa, all of us are vulnerable. So the money they give us is for the vulnerable. So there's no saying of unfunded priority when it comes to personal disability, when it comes to women issues. They should eat on the same cake. And those interventions, we divide them into two. We have the past performance and then also the ensuing year. You first look at the quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 reports. You pick for the past and put them in those different criteria. Then also for the plans, plans, the work plan. You check and say what you want to do the next year. We combine. Then also we also go ahead to give some scores for challenges. Challenges, that's why we got the emerging issues. Someone will tell you, we would have supplied enough blood, for example, but we don't have collection centers. We need to decentralize. So we pick that and we give them a mark. But if you say we lack funding, that one is general, we don't score it. We score those challenges based on your mandate. For example, if Equal Opportunity says that we are not performing well, then they should tell us things around their mandate that is making them feel to deliver. So that one helps us to lobby for more funding when we're writing our report. So that is how that's how the tools are. We go and look for the one for local governments. We also now screen the local governments because each local government is unique. The one in Kasese, they have different problems from Karanga. In Bududa, they have their own problems, than the ones of where in Kasese where they have floods. All of them don't have mudslides, these ones have what? So we said, do you take care of these people? Instead of saying government to Yambe, it should be in the budget. Be the what? In the budget. So those are the tools we use, and they are automated and they can be able to online. The first thing is the knowledge and awareness of gender equity has been heightened. Like people now know why we talk about gender. Initially, gender people think it was for women affairs, but it's not a women's affair. It's an affair for all of us. And the Israel program, the one for the disability, the another one is for the women, the one for older persons. The things are not coming out from you. The more you create awareness, people come to create those programs. We have programs for northern Uganda. We have programs for Karamoja specifically. Are you getting?
Yes, I'm a bit.
There are so many programs, but because people know that the danger of not having, the danger of discrimination and marginalization leads to war. When you hear there's strikes, when you hear there are wars, just know that the issue of gender inequity will not addressed. That is the worst effect or the worst impact when you don't address gender inequity. People are now aware that their leaders have to be accountable properly. So they want to know what is in our budget, and people will listen and say, hey, the president read this and this and this and this. So when you come into campaign, they will remember and say, but everything was in the budget. Where is it? You've seen the LOCs when we're training those leaders at the district. I would look at them and tell them that if you don't pass a gender and equity responsive budget, you're not going to come back in this district council. If you don't work for your people, you're not going to come back in this council room. You saw how people changed. People wiped everyone. Only those who work.